Hey, welcome to Sacred Style. This is your man, Sacred Kesley. Thanks for tuning in. All right, today we're going to be talking about something that is dear to me and something that I feel like most of the time when we talk about Africa problem, especially we're going to focus on Liberia, which is my native country. Most of the time when we talk about African problem, Liberia particularly when we talk about problems that we talk about corruption, we talk about political instability, security issues, we talk about wide variety of issues, social ills that are going on in the country, in Africa generally, but in Liberia particularly. We talk about all these things. But today I want to talk to you about something that is dear to me, something that I think, from my travel in different African countries, especially within the West African region, really. I see other African countries in the South African region, I see people are like mostly getting involved in doing something about this problem that I want to discuss. And I think some of you guys will agree with me. But in West Africa, I've seen that people are really not waking up to do something about this problem. It's not corruption. It's not lack of leadership. It's something that is, it kind of like is the thing that is behind all those things. Because if we don't have that, we let corruption flourish. We let the lack of leadership flourish because that mindset, I think, is more of a mindset than actually a physical thing. It's not something that we could put in a textbook and say, like corruption, for instance, a corruption impact X, Y, and Z. Lack of leadership does X, Y, and Z. Or police brutality. But this thing that I'm going to talk about is something beyond that. But before we get into it, hey, if you're new to this channel, please, you know what to do. Subscribe. I mean, if you've been here already, you know what to do. You need to use your, let's make some comment, man. Make some comments, share the video with your friends and loved ones. Let's keep this family growing. But what is that thing, Sekou? All right, it is nothing else but lack of urgency. Yes, I said it. In Liberia particularly, after working in Liberia for a year and traveling in and out of Guinea and doing all these things around the region down there, I've noticed that our people are suffering because there's a lack of urgency in our community. Even in New York right here, in the African community, one thing I've noticed, right? And I think it's not only a Liberian thing, but I feel like Liberia could benefit from it a lot. Is the lack of urgency. Let me break this down. How does that impact our community? Because people was about, Sekou, what do you mean by lack of urgency? It's just really a lack of people willing to say, you know what, enough is enough. We need to do something about all these social ills that we always talk about. You ever been to a attire shop, for those of you guys who get around the table and talk politics? We would discuss everything. Our people are brilliant. What I've noticed in Liberia, people who I used to work with, brilliant guys who would discuss everything. We know all the problems. But when it comes to now finding the solution, we start dragging our legs. We don't have the urgent need to find a solution and do something about it urgently. We don't have it. Take it or leave it. Many African countries, Nigeria for instance, they will say, oh, we have all these problems. Now when it comes to solution, no urgency. Government will drag their legs. But Liberia particularly, this is my experience in dealing with Liberian people, the government. The people are beautiful, great people. I mean, intelligent people too. But again, because of the lack of urgency, you see people trying to undermine projects that you're doing because they don't feel like there's a need to push things through right now. Everybody care about themselves. It's like, that's not urgent to me. Although, yeah, it's urgent to the public, but it's not urgent to me. So you have to pay me a certain amount of money to make this thing urgent to me. You see what I'm trying to talk about, right? Now you see how the lack of urgency is bringing about corruption. Now, other countries, when you think something is urgent, for instance, we need students or we need teachers in these villages, these towns. So that means we have to urgently pay people who are willing to sacrifice their time to leave the city to go in the interior to go work there. We need to make sure that their salaries are being paid on time. This is just one example. You make that a priority. Like, again, the key word, priority, urgent. You make it like, okay, we need to pay them on time. But what we do, we say that, oh, that's not my business. Me and my family, we taking care of, that's cool. So you see, there's lack of urgency to those professionals who are putting their life on the line. What happened? The people get weak. They don't want to do the work. Because now they're like, okay, people are not taking us urgently. Government is not paying people on time. I was in Liberia, and this is not only this government. But in fact, I support this government. I was one of the strongest supporters of this government. So it's not even a government thing. It's just our philosophy, right? Our mindset. This lack of urgency to take care of things, the problems that we know exist, and we have the solution. You can't tell me that all these smart Liberians all around the world, we don't have the solutions. No, we do. We have tons of solutions created by Liberians for Africans too. Not only Liberia, all around Africa, we have the solutions to our problems. But we don't have people who will make it an urgent need. Now, let's go into history a little bit, right? When you look at people like Thomas Sankara, right? You look at people like Patrice Lumumba. You look at people like, right now, Paul Kagame, right? You look at guys who are actually doing well for themselves. You see that they have something in common, which is they want something done urgently, right? Thomas Sankara was like, I need things done. And this guy himself will wake up and go work with the people to get things done. But you see our presidents today, they're just chilling. Oh yeah, we'll pay these people to get things done. We're gonna travel, we're gonna go get this, come on. Where's the urgent need? Like, okay, our people are suffering. We need to do this right now. Government step up. The New Guinean government, actually, the military leader, Mamadi Doumbouya, he seemed like the guy who understands this concept. He's like, all the government contracts that have been issued prior to me coming in, and all the ones that are going to be issued now, we need to make sure that the work is done now. That is the kind of urgency that Africa needs. We need people to be deliberate and say, things need to get done now. We're not waiting anymore. African, we have been so passive. Again, this lack of urgency is the one I would argue that because we were so passive, our great-grandfathers, they allowed this colonizer to come and colonize us, thinking we're going to get something out of it. We just passive. Oh, it's not pertaining to me. Oh, they could go sell to other people. They are slaves. They could do this. We allow our own brothers and sisters to be so in slavery because we're just passive. It's okay. It can get done. You think, even during that time, you think people didn't have intelligent Africans who were like, no, this is not good. White people are going to use our people as slaves and do X, Y, and Z. But the leaders, again, because of lack of urgency, we are just chill. Like, all right, everything is okay. It's going to be fine. But, oh, I don't care. That's not an urgent matter to me. It's a matter to those who are going to be enslaved. Anyway, me and my family, we are cool. So you see, because of lack of urgency to do something for everybody, we start letting things go. And this is one of the major reasons that is impacting our country. I've traveled around the country in Liberia, and I've traveled around Africa a little bit. I still want to do more of it. But what I've noticed is all the countries that I went through that are saying leaders want to be urgent about things. They want to deliver. They want to do things now. You see this country making progress. But every country that I go to, you have a president or a leader just chilling. You just want to be like, all right, we're going to do these things. Everything become political. Things don't move. But when there's an urgent need to achieve something, all the red tapes, all this corruption and everything, you start seeing them going away. Because you need leaders that have an urgent mindset. Like people like Thomas Sankara, when he makes sure that almost the entire country was vaccinated against polio, right? People don't talk about these things. When he makes sure that, they started farming in the entire Burkina Faso, people don't talk about these things. These were men that had vision, like they were urgent, like we have to achieve something now, not later, right? This is the kind of leadership we need. Leaders with an urgent mindset to achieve something. Paul Kagame, he came in war. It's like, you know what, we need to unify our people now. Rwanda has to be unified and has to take over Africa if necessary. A small little country in Africa. But today is the center of innovation in Africa because the leader has the mind like we have to achieve something now. We have to make a legacy now. The question is, why are the leaders not having such urgency? Why Africans themselves? Why Liberians particularly? Why we are not thinking? Because when we start thinking, we have this mindset that things needs to be done now. What's gonna happen is few things. We're gonna stop supporting corrupt officials who are not doing what we want to see done. We're gonna start putting our votes and our support behind them because we are tired of that. Right? We're gonna start holding our officials accountable. We're gonna start holding ourselves accountable. Lack of urgency makes you not to hold yourself accountable because you don't care. You wanna care about other things. Things that matters to you right there. You don't care about a society. So this mindset has to change. We need to get in an urgent, like Africa needs us. We need to do something now. Our generation matters. Our legacy matters. When we get that mindset, ladies and gentlemen, you will see the drastic change that will occur within the subcontinent and within our country, Liberia. So today, this message is for all of you guys who are still sitting on the fence. I don't know what to do. I don't care. The place is that. No. You need to have that urgency mindset. Go visit the place. See what's lacking. Take action. Yes, it's not going to be a walk in the park. And that's what people need to understand. You think, oh yeah, now I have an urgency mindset. Guess what? You're going to have a lot of people who will drag you down because they don't have that urgency mindset. They have the crap mentality. They will just hold you down. In the community, it happens all the time. But you cannot let that stop you though. Right? You need to find like-minded people to try to get that urgency mindset like we need to achieve something within our lifetime. Our generation, our kids depend on us. Let's achieve something now. Let's eradicate poverty now. Let's eradicate corruption now. Let's not wait for later. Let's eradicate bad leadership now, right? Like everything needs to be now. Let's get it done. That is the kind of thing that we need in Liberia and around Africa. And that has been some of my experience. I have particular stories, but I don't want to dive into it right now. Let me know what you think so we could continue this discussion. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, you already know, man, if you've been here, this is Sekou Style. Make sure you like, comment, and follow us. Share the video. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Peace and love.